So, as I mentioned, the first transcription to make up the Dudley Simpson project was the master's theme, a mere 45 seconds of music. That's this part. However, by the time I had completed the entire 18-month transcription process, I had created two other pieces that used musical ideas from two totally different stories, yet this was recurring musical material. Now, I'll tell you more about that when I make those videos, but the relevance here is that this process inspired me to return to stories I thought I had already mined for musical material and create expanded pieces using related musical ideas and motifs. So, as fate would have it, my last transcription was a full circle return to the music of the master. The 1971 season of Doctor Who is informally known as the Master Season, since, spoiler, the Master is introduced in the first story and appears in each of the following 4 stories comprising Season 8. All of Simpson's music from Season 8 was realized electronically and on magnetic tape in the BBC's Radiophonic Workshop. This was a serious feat in 1971, given the technology of the time, and apparently took hours and hours. All of the Master's music, thus, has effects added, either a lot of echo or a filtering to alter the timbre of the keyboard sounds, so that instead of an unbroken sound like a voice or piano would make, the notes cut in and out, almost like a Dalek voice. Simpson's motif for the Master is 2 augmented triads, one on F, the other on D. Augmented triads, as you might hear, are spooky sounding chords, certainly compared to the relative simplicity of major and minor. The juxtaposition of these 2 chords creates a bitonal sound, 2 different keys potentially going on, and later grounds itself in D minor in the Master's theme music. When it came to organizing the music of the suite, any musical clip of Simpsons that began with this motif became part of the structure. And when you listen to the piece, you'll hear this recurring all the time. Basically, each new clip starts with that idea. Well, not quite all, but most of them do. In fact, the augmented harmony informs the entire piece, since most of the cues use it in some way, whether horizontally or vertically. And by horizontally, I mean like at the very beginning, the left hand's music, augmented chords. There are 3 clips from the story that introduces the character, Terror of the Autons, from episodes 1 and 2. This forms roughly the first third of the suite. The first clip is associated with the Master's hypnotic stare, and this particular clip is reused in other stories. The second clip is used to underscore the Master's evil machinations, murdering Googe and adjusting the radio telescope to allow the arrival of the Nestines, inspecting the plastics factory with the hypnotized Farrell Jr. and attempting to sabotage Farrell Sr.'s car. The third clip is used as the Master advances on Professor Phillips in the radio telescope, and the same melodic material is used as Farrell is struggling with the Master's influence over him. The musical challenge for me was then to decide how true to the original sound I should and even could make my piece for piano. For the music for Terror of the Autons, for example, It seemed right to execute the sound as authentically as possible, because it simply was more interesting. So therefore, much of it is with damper pedal down and played very percussively. Reflecting the filtered sound, which created that percussive element to the music. In the second, longest cue in particular, the melodies have a filtered sound, as I mentioned, in a triplet rhythm, which contrasts nicely to the duple rhythm of the bass. The two parts are made of the same intervals, but spaced at the distance of a tritone, a very dissonant, even diabolical interval. The next portion of the suite uses music from the next story, The Mind of Evil, episodes 2 and 3. The new section begins with the original master theme that was my very first transcription. The entire right hand is made of augmented triads. The left hand's bass line moves in contrary motion, creating harmonic movement resolving in minor, major, seventh chords. I elected to play tremolo chords in the right hand, again trying to stay authentic to the original sound. And I love how that sounds like silent movie music. I felt, however, that playing the entire piece tremolo would not only be too taxing for the performer, but also sound monotonous by the end. So not every cue is played with that similar sound. Other Mind of Evil cues from episode 2 are Captain Chinley's meeting the master in his limousine and his hypnotizing her. The latter is another clip reused in later stories associated with hypnotism. Episode 3's cues, also to be heard again later, involve the master's planning the taking of Stanmore Prison with prisoner Mailer, and the subsequent success of that takeover as the doctor arrives for a visit. These cues, although using the same timbre as the master's theme, I play without the tremolo effect, except for that hypnotizing cue. That's this one. The three cues from The Demons are actually fragments of the master's theme with a counter melody added on top. In order to heighten contrast between the sections, I used the Mind of Evil cues to separate the Demons cues in order to make those alternating recurrences more interesting. In episode 1 of The Demons, the first ritual to summon the demon Azal is about to take place in the cavern. The added melody is essentially a long trill. In episode 3, The master's takeover of Devil's End is complete, and he returns to the cavern with the stone gargoyle Bach, ordering it to return to its pedestal. Bach is sort of represented by this staccato, simple line added on top. The last cue of episode 5, the final episode of the season, sees the master captured. And this was the most complex of the three to realize on piano, played in octaves in both hands, while simulating the pitch sliding of the electronic keyboard, and with the melded master's theme harmony on top of it. So instead of what's really happening is this, but well, can't do that on the piano, but I can make it as close as possible. Thanks so much for watching this first ever Dudley Simpson is Doctor Who project piano piece. I'll be making more, so stay tuned. That means you need to do that social media stuff I'm sure you know how to do. Subscribe, like, share. There's maybe something else that I've forgotten. Before I leave, I must thank my friends Claudia and Steve Huter at the Larchmont Music Academy in Larchmont, New York, for lending me this space and this gorgeous piano. See you soon.